Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special edition of Mud Talks, Mudders on Jeopardy, with this wonderful group of alumni. My name is Vanessa Chu, Assistant Director in the Office of Alumni and Parent Relations, and I will be one of your hosts tonight.
And I'm your second host tonight. I'm Erin McNabb, proud member of the class of 2006 and Associate Director in the Office of Alumni and Parent Relations. We thank you for attending today's event, and we hope you and your family are safe and healthy during this time.
This talk will be longer than our typical Mud Talks, but it is being recorded and will be distributed after the event. We will start off with the guest speakers introducing themselves and then move into some questions we have. Following, we will take questions from the audience. Please feel free to type your questions in the Q&A and we'll try to get through as many questions as we can. To finish off, we will play a friendly round of trivia to see who reigns supreme. So, to get us started, panelists, can you introduce yourself with your name, class year, major, and year you were on Jeopardy? We will start off with Andrew Chung.
Hey everyone, I'm Andrew Chung, class of 2010, chemistry major, and I was on College Jeopardy in 2008. Riff, you're up next.
Riff Hutchings, or Andrew Hutchings if you prefer, class of 98 mathematics, and I was in the 1998 college championship.
Hi everyone, I'm Julia Lee, class of 2014, joint major in chemistry and biology, and I appeared on the regular Jeopardy in 2016. I'll hand it over to Crystal now.
Crystal, you're on mute. It's not going to be the last time.
Someone had to do it, okay? Someone had to do it. I just had to be the first. What a great day this is going to be. My name is Crystal Leonard, class of 1986. I was a math major and I was on Jeopardy in 2011.
Hi, I'm Tuan Nguyen, class of 2014, engineering major. Yay, 2014. I was on Jeopardy pretty recently, November 2020.
Hi there, I'm Eric Prosser. I was class of 1991, majored in physics, and I was on Jeopardy way back in 1998.
Hey everybody, Natt Supab, class of 2008, biology major, although I'm not really using it right now. And I was on Jeopardy in October of 2020, so very recent. Not quite as recent as Tuan, but close.
I'm Joe Warren, class of 94. I was an engineering major. And I'm pretty sure I was on Jeopardy in 02, but it might have been 03. I'm not actually sure.
Well, great. We're going to start off with a question. What encouraged you to be on Jeopardy and why did you want to be on the show? Riff, will you start us off with that one?
Sure. Yeah, I think I can. I mean, I'm pretty much going to express the same sentiment as everyone else in the panel, but I was a big fan of the show. I think right when the Alex Trebek version of Jeopardy appeared in the mid '80s, that was right about the age where like I could really get into it, like I could really appreciate it. And so I kind of grew up alongside Jeopardy a little bit. And the college tournament which is what I was really motivated to be in. Like that was always my favorite event of the year, was when that came around, and when the chance came to represent Mud in the college tournament. Yeah, I jumped at that. So it was I don't know, just an expression of like my fandom for knowledge and for the show, and just that particular confluence of events that allowed that to happen. So.
And I'll just completely second that. I had the exact same feelings.
Great.
Great. What was your favorite moment while a part of Jeopardy? Eric, if you can start us off, followed by Andrew.
Okay. For those of you who know me, this kind of fits in with my personality, but I actually got censored on Jeopardy. Yeah. So it was my third day on the show, third episode. So I was, returning champion. And as you know, Alex would talk to all the contestants and get to know a little bit about them. So the first person he talked to on that day, his hobby was collecting Gumbies. And Alex had asked him, well, what's your favorite Gumby in your collection? And he basically said that he had a 6-foot Gumby, inflatable Gumby, that he kept in his closet. There's some kind of chuckles at that. And then they went to the woman between us, and then Alex came to me, and before he could even say anything, I just kind of blurted out, I'm like, well, Alex, I've got a 6-foot inflatable toy in my closet, but I call it Pokey. And so, yeah, everybody kind of broke down laughing except for 2 people. 1, the guy with the Gumby collection, and 2, the guy from Standards, who immediately was standing up saying, stop the taping. So it took about 5 minutes for everybody to stop laughing. And then they're basically saying, okay, we can't use that. Alex, go back. Eric, don't say a word until he asks you a question. And so that little bit was kind of erased from the tapes, but that was my claim to infamy on Jeopardy there.
Oh man, I also had, now that you mention it, I was also involved in several things that had to be edited out for various reasons. Oh man, I suppose I can go into that. Well, first, during like those little intro shots of the contestants, for one of them, I did this whole like stereotypical Asian tourist thing, you know, peace signs, smiling. They decided they didn't like that and asked me to reshoot it later. There was also the one time when I answered a question about nunchucks with the answer, what is nunchaku? And it took a little bit of time for the judges to come back and say that was fine. And then Alex made some throwaway comment about like, yeah, of course you'd know that. And that got edited out. And then of course there was at the very end of the college tournament, I congratulated the wrong person when they won or when they didn't win. So that definitely got edited out and completely reshot. I also dropped an F-bomb in there at some point. And then also, of course, my actual answer to the question was, my favorite moment was as part of the tournament, I was in the semifinals, and I actually managed to get myself a runaway game, or a lock game, as some people call it. And when I realized that you could, if you're watching it back, you can actually see me like stare or look around like, did that really happen? Wow. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And then of course the least stressful Final Jeopardy ever. So that all worked out.
Very cool. Any other favorite moments?
Yeah, I think for me, one of my favorite parts was being able to do a true daily double. So just like icing on the cake of being on Jeopardy, even though I didn't win, but just like being able to say make a true daily double is like pretty great.
I had a funny story with my interview was about scuba diving, and I was telling Alex that I got attacked by a triggerfish, and I said it bit through my fin, but nothing off my body. However, when it aired, and it aired earlier because LA, it got pre-opted, and basically I didn't get to watch it till the day after. I got a bunch of texts saying, "Did you really tell Alex about your butt?" And I was like, what? So it sounded like I said, "Nothing off my butt." I said body. But when I watched, I was like, yeah, that sounded like butt. Cool. I hope Alex heard the right word, but if he didn't, I can live with it.
Nice job.
Yeah. For context, I guess this is something Andrew experienced also, is that the tournaments at the time were they took those on the road. They had this new traveling set that they took out on location too. So we actually we didn't tape in Burbank like most people. We taped, or Culver City, I guess, but we taped up in UC Berkeley. So I think my most memorable thing about that is that was spring break of my senior year of college. And Mudders just brought this insane festival like energy to it. Like I had to reserve 70 seats for my cheering section, and they thought I was insane when I requested that many seats, but we filled them. And I don't know what, I mean, some of the people who are attendees here today, they were in the audience. I don't know what they did. I don't know what they got up to, but I'm sure it was pretty crazy times up at I guess it was Zellerbach Auditorium at Berkeley. So that's what I remember.
Well, audience member, feel free to put that in the chat if you want to tell Riff what it was like from the audience perspective during that time. The next question we have is about clicking strategies. We know those clickers are very particular. Did anyone have a particular clicking strategy or any clicking anxiety? I'm going to start with Joe.
So I don't know if I had anxiety or a strategy, but I was not good at clicking. And the 2 opponents I had were kind of in the same age range as me. And so I think we all knew probably most of the first round answers. And so it was just who buzzed in. And for people who don't know, and I don't know if they've changed this with modern technology, but Alex reads the question and then somebody actually flips a switch, which turns on a bank of lights, and then you can buzz in. But if you wait, at least on my show, if I waited till I saw the light and I hit the buzzer, I never made it. And they actually came up to me during one of the commercial breaks and just said, like, you're just a hair behind the other two. And so you had to kind of try and time it. And I got really frustrated. I think you can see it in my face during the show where I was just like, all right, this sucks. I thought this was going to be great and I can't even ring in. So.
Yeah, actually, I had the same issue like prior to the first commercial break. Like the showrunner came up in between the break and like checked that I was actually clicking the right way. So yeah, it was. I guess I wasn't good, but then I adjusted after the first break.
It's the one thing where like playing at home is really easy, and then they throw this curveball which you don't experience till you're there playing, and all of a sudden you're like, I'm $800 behind everybody. This is not how I thought it was going to go.
Yeah.
And of course, I dropped my my clicker once, so that was cool. That made it on TV.
I actually ignored the lights because I feel like by the time you react to it, it's already too late. My trick was like actually trying my best to ignore Trebek, because if you get caught into listening to him, you can actually read the screen from where you're standing. So if you read as fast as you can and like take the time while he's talking to think about the answer, then you can just kind of wait until he stops talking, and then like the instant after he stops talking, try to ring in. So that was kind of the strategy I took instead of waiting for lights.
Mine was the same as Julia. I really didn't pay attention to the lights. I would pre-read the question like she said, and that would give you time to think, and then you could just, when he stopped, yeah, exact same.
This is kind of a tack on to the clicking. Someone says, it always seems like the person who answered the last question correctly has some kind of advantage, but that, because they go on runs, but there's no actual advantage, right?
Only that they get to pick the next question,
Right.
But there's no clicking advantage.
Got it.
And I think it's important to know that if you click in too early, like I did, you get locked out for some fraction of a second. And they did try to correct me during the first commercial break. Didn't help, but nice of them.
It's a delay, but it's not a big delay. That's why you see people typically trying to, repeatedly hit the button so that they get in as soon as their buzzer is reactivated. But yeah, and the lights do have a little bit of a warm-up period. So the people who are really good at reading, the pause that Trebek has at the end of his question, like they generally had an advantage over people who are waiting for lights. With the exception of certain types of questions where Alex wasn't reading, if they have like a special video clue or something like that, then the lights are actually a lot more helpful.
Thank you, everyone. So we're interested in hearing if the process has changed at all in terms of getting on the show. Eric, can you start us off with that?
Sure. So mine will obviously be a lot different probably from the recent one since I did it back in '98. But the process back then was that if you wanted to, interview or audition for the show, you had to send in a postcard. So I recall doing that, and that was probably in '97 when I did that. And I ended up getting called to a local audition in San Diego. And essentially, it was basically a cattle call at a local hotel. They took over the ballroom, and there were several hundred people who showed up. We all took a 50-question timed quiz, written, and then we just had to sit there and wait till they graded them. Then they'd come out and they read a list of about 30 names who were presumably the high scorers on the quiz. And then they split us into two groups. One group went off and interviewed, and then the other group, we basically did about 10 minutes of a mock Jeopardy game. And then we switched, and that was it. Then we left, and they said if they were interested, they'd call us. And that was on a Friday. And then here's where mine gets really weird. The next Monday, I literally got a call from one of the producers, and they let off by saying, hey, we're calling from Jeopardy. It doesn't matter what you answer to this next question. We'd like to get you on the show, but we've had a contestant from out of town who can't make it literally tomorrow, the next day. You're local. Can you be here tomorrow for a taping? And so I checked my calendar. I didn't have anything going on at work the next day. I said, give me 1 minute. I went down the hall, asked my boss. He was cool with it. So literally, 72 hours after I had done my audition for Jeopardy, I was basically going to be on the show the next day. So that was how crazy and frenetic my experience was with getting onto Jeopardy.
So does anyone have a different experience?
I had the same cattle call. I was doing a postdoc in San Diego and probably went to the same hotel Eric did a couple years later. And they do that mock game. And I think they told us on the 50 question test, you had to get 35 or more right, and then you were in the pool, or at least that's how I remember it. But then I had actually taken a job in New York. And so I'd moved cross country, and they told you were in the contestant pool for like a year. And it was probably like 10 or 11 months, and then they contacted me.
By the time I applied well, actually I auditioned twice, but by then they were on to the online testing. And so they had scheduled tests throughout, I don't know if it was once or twice a year, I don't remember the details, but it was that 50 question timed, every question was timed test, and you got no feedback. So you didn't know if you had scored well enough or not. And at this point, by then they weren't even telling you what a passing score was, but the smart money was always on the idea of 35. That was the scuttlebutt around the message boards, that you wanted to have at least 35 correct. And then if you were lucky, if you got enough correct, you would get a phone call and invited to an in-person interview at a hotel. At least that's where mine was, in LA. But this time it was only like 20 or 30 people at a time, because they had been able to do the mass calling based on the online test. And so we had like 30 people. And again, they started off with another test because you could have 18 people gathered around your computer when you're doing the online test. And so you could look super on top of it and have no clue. So they still started off with that 50 question test, a different 50 question test, to make sure that you really, are qualified. And then much like what Eric said, we then did the mock interview, or the interview, and then the mock game for a little while. And they really don't tell you anything. They just say, if you hear from us, awesome. If you'll be in the pool for, like they said, about 12 months. Have fun, bye. And you just wait and wonder if you're going to get a call. What they do now, I guess they learned from Eric's situation, is now they have, every time there's taping weeks, they have standbys planned to come in, backups. And so for anybody living in the LA area, or for pretty much anyone within a few hundred miles of LA, you are guaranteed, at least when I was doing it, you're guaranteed that your first time that you're called into the studio is going to be as a standby. And so you spend the day there watching a week get taped, because odds are they're not going to need you. But the thing is that's really cool about that is it lets you get rid of some of those first time in the environment nerves. You see how it's run, you see what happens in the green room, you see how the process is all done. And so then when you get called back, and they guarantee you that if you're brought in as a backup, that you will be brought back in as a contestant. They don't just go, sorry, that was your shot, you're done. They guarantee to bring you back. And then, you can sit back and watch a little bit differently, because you're not trying to figure out how everything works. You already know. So it's really quite advantageous, in my opinion, to have that extra day of just watching. So.
Thank you, Crystal. So I have a follow-up question, probably for Tuan and Natt. What was it like being on Jeopardy in the middle of a pandemic?
Do you mind, Tuan, if I go first?
Go for it.
Because I had sort of it was half normal and half pandemic times, because I took the test in January. I think it's scheduled once a year, or was at the time. Then I got called in February asking me to come in March for in-person, 50 question test and then interview. So I was pretty excited. Then of course in early March, they're like, well, indefinitely postponed. So I just sort of was bummed, forgot about it. And then on the day that I was supposed to go in for my interview, they called. They're like, we're trying something new. We're going to do the 50 questions over the phone. I was like, I don't have internet right now. I was not ready. I was just like, I was on the treadmill at the time when she called. So I was like, excuse me, can you give me? She's like, we'll call tomorrow if you need a day. I'm like, I need a day. and my internet was down, so I couldn't like study. So I went and like drove to my cousin's house, sat in his driveway, and used the internet to like brush up on things. She called the next day. I did the 50 questions over the phone. That was kind of awkward because I kept answering in the form of a question. You don't have to, but I did. And then yeah, they don't tell you much. They're just like, okay, we may not. But a little over a month later, I think emailed to say they wanted to do a Zoom mock game / interview. So me and people over Zoom, it was kind of, it's not as cool as being there and taking a mock game, right? And after that, again, they say you're in the contestant pool for 18 months. They may or may not let you know that you're on. So I just kind of treated that as like, that's as far as I'm gonna get, that's great. But of course they did call me in, and they didn't call me in as an alternate. So I didn't know that I wasn't gonna be taping that day. I just happened to be, I had bad luck. They, you know, it's all randomized. They pull your name out of a hat kind of thing. And I ended up being one of the leftovers. So I was like ready to tape. And then I just went home. And because Alex, I think the taping schedule wasn't as grueling, or it was too grueling, I should say. I came back 2 weeks later, and I should have been more prepared, but I was not. So it wasn't an advantage for me, but it should have been. So yeah, it was strange, kind of half-half.
Yeah, so for me, I actually also took test in January, I realized, and I didn't take the newest version of the test, but then I didn't get called back for the first interview until April. And that was actually like a Zoom. I think they had the process down a little better. And so it was like a Zoom one-on-one with the showrunner where they just like fed me questions and like recorded my responses and like do the interview or like get to know you personality thing. And it was like maybe 2 months later, which was like the mock game with like other people also on Zoom. And it was just again, like answering fake questions and things like that. And then I got the call back, I think it was like end of August, early September. And then the taping itself was in September. And I drove down from NorCal, just like rented a car. But yeah, I mean, I think Nat, probably for you too, like with the pandemic, they had all these precautions and like, it was kind of funny because it wasn't, one thing they told me was like, maybe I might have to like do my own makeup. And so I was like furiously texting a lot of friends about like advice for how to handle that because I don't have much experience with that. So that was kind of fun crash course in learning how to do makeup. But they ended up having the system by the time the taping happened.
So they each handed us, they handed each of us a powder puff essentially, and they're just like, if you're greasy, we're going to tell you to powder your own face.
Yeah.
Sweaty. But yeah, they didn't have anyone do our makeup, so that was a source of worry for me as well.
Great. So for those interested in being on Jeopardy nowadays, do any of you have advice for getting onto Jeopardy? And would you do it again? I'm going to start with Tuan on this one.
Yeah, so I would say I would do it again if I could. I don't know if the rules allow any of us to really play again, but yeah, I would say because I think the biggest advice above just like, you know, your basic trivia knowledge is like understanding like the metagame a bit and like the aspects of Jeopardy that are very Jeopardy specific. There are things like, I think probably everyone knows, it's called like a Pavlov, where it's like these clues that come up again and again, and it's like if you see like Norwegian playwright, you know it's probably Ibsen or something like that. So like just like using the J-Archive website and like understanding what clues are, just like kind of like a numbers game where it's like, you know, the types of clues that show up a lot in the game itself, like specifically, and not so much like trivia in general. I would say that's the best way to prepare specifically for Jeopardy.
Yeah, and then also in terms of, you know, there's the knowledge part, but also of course Jeopardy is an entertainment show, and you know you want to be interesting. You know they want to have contestants who are fun to watch. So that's also an important thing to kind of keep in mind during the more in-person aspects of the screening process as well. Like I told some story about some shenanigans that happened back in West Dorm during my in-person session, and I'd like to think that helped. And also just, you know, just trying to be energetic, outgoing, especially when you're talking to people during that screening process.
Yeah, I'd second all of that. Like it's not just a test of knowledge. It's definitely, you're definitely in an audition, not a test, right? So keep that in mind. They don't want you to screw up their TV show. I tell people, yeah, like stay energetic for sure. Don't bring Price is Right energy to it. That's not exactly what Jeopardy contestants are like. But you know, stay upbeat, and also like keep in mind, like they're pretty much observing people the entire time you're there. So like your audition starts the minute you're around, and like the way you interact with the other people, with the contestant coordinators, all that stuff. I think that all counts. So.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that. I remember on the audition, I auditioned twice, once in college and once for regular. During the regular one, there was a guy, because we were all watching when these mock rounds were going on. He was like killing, but the producers started yelling at him, "Look like you're having fun." So I would definitely echo, like, just enjoy yourself. It's like such a unique experience, and you get to meet a lot of really amazing people. They did ask both times during that kind of mock round and kind of fake interview question, they're going to ask you what you want to do with the money. So think about what you want to do with the money. And the other kind of fun thing is that when I auditioned and when I was on, and maybe you all can speak to like this as well, but they gave everyone a pen that like looks like the buzzer, so you can like go home and practice with the Jeopardy branded buzzer. And then I got some like earbuds that said Jeopardy and like a hat. So that was kind of cool to get some little extra swag.
To add on to what Julia said about they're going to ask you what you do with the money, I read somewhere back around the time I was auditioning, don't say I'm going to travel and I'm going to pay bills, because that's what everybody says. Come up with something, and quite frankly, it doesn't even have to be true, but come up with something different to make yourself stand out. I mean, maybe you want to buy an alpaca farm, or maybe you don't want to buy an alpaca farm, but if you say you want to buy an alpaca farm, they're going to remember you and go, wow, that's the person that said they wanted to buy the alpaca farm. You know, so come up with something a little bit unusual. I told them I was going to repair my pinball machines with the money I was going to win. And one of the guys and I had this long conversation about pinball machines. So, you know, it's all a chance for them to see who you are and what you're going to be like. So try to be a little bit, you know, something that isn't the same thing they've seen 300 times.
That's fun. Well, then I have a follow-up question for the rest of you. What would you do with the money then? Like, what was your answer?
It can be your lying answer as well.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't recall ever being asked what I'd do with the money. But what I ended up doing with it is went to a down payment on a house. That's where the money went. So it was, you know, nice and practical and wonderful. But that's what I ended up doing with the money.
Oh man, when Alex asked me and some of the other contestants out on, I guess it was the second day of finals, the first person responded with, I don't know, I've never had that much money before. And then the second response was mine. And I said, I also had never had that much money before. And then I went on some rambly, terrible answer about how I would just kind of spend it how I liked or something. Yeah, not a great answer for me, but oh well.
Yeah, I mean, basically, you should ask like, answer like money didn't matter. Like if you wanted to collect one really weird thing, just bring that up. Like even if you have, you know, you've never collected this thing before, just bring that up. It's intended to be aspirational, not like an actual life plan. So you're not held to it. It's fine.
Thank you. So we do have quite a few pre-submitted questions. My first question for you from there is, describe different betting strategies employed for daily doubles.
Everyone panics and defaults to 1K or 2K, right?
I mean, that's a little bit right in the post Holzhauer era. Like aggressive betting is considered to be the right strategy now, at least for strong players. I don't know.
Yeah, my strategy was, if I was in the lead, I didn't want to bet, you know, more than would take me out of the lead. If I were trailing, I wanted to bet enough to get to the lead. So that was basically it.
Yeah, there's like a whole school of study about proper betting strategies, both for Daily Doubles and for Final Jeopardy. And there's a lot of people just discussing that sort of stuff nonstop online.
I think, what was I gonna say? That I might be remembering this wrong. For Final Jeopardy betting, you're given as much time as you need. And I think a similar thing was the case for Double Jeopardy. So it's not necessarily like you have to come up with it on the fly. You can take a little bit longer.
Nice. I'm going to go to this just submitted question about what costs did they cover? Did they cover any of your travel costs? Did you have, everyone's shaking, they could give you nothing. Did you use vacation days from work? They didn't give you any, it's really just your winnings. That's all you get.
So
My understanding is they'll cover the travel costs of returning champions. Like if someone has to fly in, they'll cover the airfare and the hotel room for returning champions. But everything else is on your dime. That's why they changed it. I don't remember how long ago it changed. Gosh, it's been at least 20 years. But back in the day, Eric, when you were on, did they do the consolation prizes or did they do cash for second and third place?
No, it was consolation prizes. And for third place on my final day, I won a wonderful his and her set of very gaudy watches, which I didn't want the tax hit for, so I turned them down.
Yeah, and so now instead of doing the year's supply of rice-a-roni or whatever, third place gets $1,000 flat, second place gets $2,000 flat, and the assumption is that that should cover the cost because they didn't want people to not come to the show because they couldn't afford it. And so this way you're guaranteed to have at least you'll have enough money to cover your travel costs.
Or close. So like I was living in New York, and part of the problem, I think, when I got to the second round, I had a daily double, and I wanted to make sure I made Final Jeopardy because I didn't want to go on Jeopardy and lose money, which was totally possible when you combined a plane ticket, a rental car, and a night in a hotel, from East to West Coast. And so I think I played not aggressively, and when I did that, and I probably should have done much more aggressive. But the other question about the vacation days, so like I flew out on Tuesday night, taped on Wednesday, and took a red eye back because I had to give an exam that Thursday morning. And so it's crazy, especially if you're not local.
They did also offer to cover if I needed to take a immediate COVID test. I ended up getting a free one, just like through the county, but they did say that if there was any costs incurred with because probably for Natt as well, we had to show a negative COVID result within a week of the taping.
They did cover costs for special events like tournaments. They do that. So I think Andrew, you went to Wisconsin for yours, is that right?
Yep, University of Wisconsin.
Nice.
Thank you all. What sort of coaching or preparation, was there any that was provided in advance of the chat with the contestants segment?
So this might be different for different people, but they give a big survey at some point before you go on, talking about the 5 things you would want to talk about in your middle part, or tell us about the most strange trip you went on or how you met your significant other, sort of thing to kind of draw from. And then the morning of the taping, one of the producers or showrunners says, okay, this is the one we told Alex to talk to you about in the middle. So just be ready for that. We'll talk about it. And then Alex picked one of the other ones when we did it live, and that kind of shocked me, but you just kind of go with it.
Yeah, they tell you, they give you 5 of the stories you submit. They narrow it down to 5. They asked me which one I would like to talk about, and I was like, I don't know. They picked one, but they didn't tell me that Alex often goes off script. So I prepared for what was going to be a very witty anecdote, and then he threw me for a loop. I was like, yeah, that other thing. So I'm with you, Julia. It threw me off.
Yeah, in the tournament for us, I recall being asked by the producers in the green room, like on the day of filming, to provide some ideas about stories. But yeah, we didn't know, as far as I can recall, we didn't know which one he was going to pick or if he was even going to pick one of them. So yeah, it always kind of came as a surprise what he decided to talk about, and just trying to make sure you're ready to talk about whatever story or even just answering a random question that he brings up that's not related to your stories at all.
So fun. We've got this question from Professor Benjamin, Professor Art Benjamin. Have you met any Jeopardy celebrities?
I've talked to this one guy named Riff who won the college tournament one year.
We are in the presence of a Jeopardy celebrity.
15 minutes of fame. I was trying to bring it up. I actually I went to an event when Ken Jennings won the Greatest of All Time tournament. He's from Seattle, and he did an event. He hosted an event here where he just did a Q&A, and he did a little bit like we did at Mud, where he watched the last episode and kind of did commentary on it at the same time, which is really cool. So yeah, I met him. I had him sign a book for me, and I'll post some pictures if I get a chance. But yeah. We talked about the status of our various Jeopardy trophies, because the trophy they sent me broke in the mail. Whereas he has a really nice Greatest of All Time trophy that's 10 times the size of the one they sent me, but it's nice.
Awesome. So what was it like trying to concentrate on questions and answers with all the distraction of the lights, the temperature of the studio, the breaks that are required during filming, all of that fun stuff? What was it like?
Terrible. For me, I didn't handle it well. That's all.
It went by really fast. I came in second on my show, so I was a one and done. But it was over, and I was like, what just happened? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it is fast paced, and there's some nerves at the beginning, but then once you kind of, it's I've never been in a boxing match, but I feel like it's once you get punched, you're in the match, and I feel like that's kind of how it was in Jeopardy. Is that once the game starts, now you're just playing the game. And what was really frenetic for me was it was the turnaround time between shows, and that is, I taped my first show, I won. Literally had 5 minutes to go, change my coat, change my shirt, change my tie, touch up the makeup, come back up, and then you're literally doing your next show. So, for the people who start on a Monday and win through a Friday, that is a slog, and that is, impressive. They're not getting huge breaks. They're literally doing that, an hour and a half, and then they get a dinner break between Wednesday and Thursday, quote unquote, and then they do another hour, and then they're done. So yeah, it's definitely a rush. It's a flurry.
Is the stage smaller than we assume? Was the wall of monitors really bright in your eyeballs?
I thought it was, because I found out later when they're doing the sweep of the studio and everything, they're using a fisheye lens. Mm-hmm. So it does make it look a little bit bigger than it actually is in real life.
Yeah, the stage was a lot smaller. So because of COVID, we had our staging next door in the Wheel of Fortune stage. So I got to see that first, and I really wanted to touch the wheel. They brought out a sign that says, "Do not touch the wheel." Anyway, so that set's pretty small. And I think the Jeopardy set's even smaller than the Wheel of Fortune set. One thing that was off-putting is the board, it's kind of small, I think. But then for video, daily doubles, or just, anything that, or the clues of video, it's a smaller screen that's in the bottom corner. And so there's no words, you're just trying to watch this person. And I struggled with that as well. Basically, I'm making a lot of excuses. It was really hard. But yes, it was a small set.
I feel like for me, when I was on stage, it was kind of surreal because, well, at least for our tapings, since they couldn't bring in a studio audience, they had the rest of the contestants in the day sit in the audience and do the clapping and just watch along. So it's great when you're in the audience because it's you're binge watching new episodes of Jeopardy because they're back to back. But then I just had this moment when I answered my first question where it's I'm this is the show I'm watching and I'm in the show.
Yeah, and it was as far as like backstage interactions with the other contestants, it was special for us in the college tournament because, you know, you shove 15, 16 college students in a room together, you know, things are going to get fun, and we all did our best to distract ourselves from like the nausea of waiting for your turn to go up. So yeah, it was a good time. Managed to bond pretty well with the other contestants that were over there.
Yeah, that leads me to the question of any memorable interactions with other contestants. Did you guys become best friends? Anybody?
I mean, the group that I was with, we've kept in touch every now and then, mostly through Facebook, but yeah. And then I suppose as far as really memorable stuff as well, for me, because it was all the way over in Wisconsin, my parents and my family couldn't make it over there. So in the finals, actually, basically everyone else ended up adopting me outside of like the two that were all in the finals themselves. So that was a really very tear-inducing moment for me when I saw that they were doing that.
Do any of you have any cool Alex Trebek stories that you'd like to share with the audience?
Yeah, I think we sort of answered this in the chat. Like, we don't really get to hang out with him. Like, we're not. I mean, like, he's professional, he's friendly, but he's not like we're not buds because he can't. Like, he can't really talk to people or like be unsupervised around them or anything like that because he has access to game material.
Right.
I will say we saw Johnny Gilbert at the bar at the hotel we were staying at afterwards. So that was fun. Just like say, hey, it's Johnny Gilbert. We didn't want to bug him, but like I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like I think Alex was right out of Berkeley as soon as we were done, but Johnny Gilbert was staying the night, so like he was hanging out in the lounge there for a while.
Yeah, same thing. I also ran into Johnny the day after in the hotel bar. Apparently that was just his thing.
Cool. So I got this interesting question. Did your experience on the show color the way you watch the show on TV now?
I can start with this one. I'll tell you, after I was on the show in '98, after the shows I was on, I probably didn't watch it again for like 7 or 8 years. And that, you know, part of it was just being busy, but then part of it was just, well, it wasn't appointment television anymore. It was like, oh, been there, done that. And now again, you know, now that, you know, I'm officially old, now, you know, the Wheel of Fortune Jeopardy hour, that's a scheduled slot every evening.
Yeah, I actually can't remember when was the last time I watched an episode on broadcast television.
And I don't have a TV, so I'm also not, I don't really watch phase, but I do think when I watch now, I think there's a little more admiration for like the meta and the kind of whole tower strategy. And I can tell when people are like really trying to buzz in, but they can't get the timing right. And I'm like, I feel for you.
The one thing that did surprise me in the live taping, or that I guess should have been apparent, is that like when Trebek will mess up reading clues, and then he'll like re-record the audio during commercial breaks and they'll like paste it over. So it sounds like he's like reading perfectly all the time, but actually he's not.
And so do you think Jeopardy questions are becoming more difficult or easier now that you're still watching it?
I think the canon is just changing. Like, I remember when I was younger, there would be tons of like opera, potent potable kind of things. And now I feel like it's a little more like when it was my tape days, I remember Trebek having to read like some Drake lyrics, which is kind of a shift, you know?
I would like them to change some of their categories, specifically because I got NASCAR and I was like, yo, woman of color. My opponents are white guys. They didn't know it either. But I mean, like, and then more recently I was watching and there was a whole category on Thailand. I'm Thai. I was like, yo, why couldn't I have had that? You know, and so like, yeah, I think there is a shift, but it's a very slow shift. They still love the presidents and opera. And so that's stuff that I studied because I would not have known it. It didn't come up, but it, you know, it was a smart idea to study that stuff.
There have been some questions about the pre-studying. What kind of prep work did you do in advance, either of the quiz or the actual show?
I'm going to say none. Partly because you have no idea what they're going to ask, right? So it's, how do you study for something where you don't know what the topic's going to be? And you know, I forget who spoke to it earlier, but now with things like the J archive, you can, you know, look at past questions and notice, you know, certain topics come up more often, certain questions get re-asked, but obviously in '98, that was not a resource that was available. And it was just, you just kind of went in and, you know, hoped you got topics that you knew about. And for the ones that you didn't know about, you just kind of hoped the other people didn't know about them as well.
There's two things I'd recommend to someone who's seriously thinking about being on the show. Definitely go into the J archive. It's j-archive.com. Every show since they started it back up in '84, with maybe a few missing at the beginning, they've all been archived. You can read every question, every wrong answer, every right answer. You can see every category that they've had since then. But the other website that I would recommend is one called Sporkle. And it's, do you guys Sporkle? Yeah, and it's a way, I mean, I've learned so much geography on there because like so many other Americans, my geography education was a bit weak. And it's just a quiz site where you go and they have quizzes on, so far from what I can tell, literally everything. And it's just all about fun, but it's a great way to pick up some bits of knowledge you maybe didn't have, or to sort of relearn things that maybe you've forgotten. There's all kinds of president's quizzes, and just, you know, hang out on there, make it a daily thing to go in and play a few of those a day. Because yeah, you can't study, you don't know what you're gonna get, but if you can just, you know, broaden your basic knowledge a little bit, that's really all you can strive for.
I think the one area where you could learn, or at least I did, was the message boards. Even back in '02 was some of the basic betting strategies for Final Jeopardy. Like I read that and tried to remember that, and that's useful to do.
I guess my route's a little different because I did Quiz Bowl in high school and college. So that was kind of the main way that had prepared me. So I didn't do much beyond that except like brush up on things like vice presidents. But if you're in like the Bay Area or Chicago, a lot of major metro areas have like high school Quiz Bowl teams or college Quiz Bowl teams, and they're always looking for volunteers to help like read questions or keep score, and the question packets are available for free online. They're very like academically focused, kind of, so like your history, geography, math. But I felt like that was absolutely the number one thing that prepared me, aside from wagering strategy. hsquizbowlpackets.org, I think, is where you can find all the packets.
Yeah, I will say a large percentage of college champions have been had Quiz Bowl experience. I can name more than a few off the top of my head. I also, yeah, there are also some books written by champions. There's a book that I studied from way back in the day. It was like Secrets of the Jeopardy Champions. It's still pretty relevant because, I mean, obviously you don't have presidents after about 1980 something, but you know, so some of it gets updated, but some of it doesn't. And like in the J archive, things do recur. Like, does anyone know the single most popular Jeopardy question ever? Like, you can do it by like scraping the J archive and just doing some stats. Like, it's actually, what is Australia? Approximately 1 in every 1,000 Jeopardy questions is, what is Australia? So like, if you have no other idea what's going on, just guess that. That's the percentage play there.
I do have a question for the contestants who are on College Jeopardy. What kind of reactions did you get from your fellow mutters after the shows aired?
Gonna start? I don't know. It was pretty extraordinary. I mean, there was of course people who experienced it live, you know, we did it over a weekend, so like I didn't get back to campus until the Monday afternoon after we finished on that Sunday afternoon, the previous Sunday, and yeah, it was pretty extraordinary. You know, the people were super excited. I wasn't allowed to talk about it because like the contestants are allowed to talk about it, but the people who were in the audience had no NDAs or anything like that, so they could. So everyone knew. That was pretty extraordinary. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that we actually did use some of the Jeopardy sponsorship money to make a scholarship fund. Some people in the audience, maybe people in the math department are here. Aaron Archer is the expert on that. He actually did a ton of the legwork to make that happen. So if you have any questions about the Riff Hutchings Scholarship Fund, you can ask him about it, I guess. But yeah, so that was, yeah, it was just extraordinary, just like kind of like the, just turning this one event into kind of a legacy and kind of an interesting, that's something that is going to benefit the school forever. But yeah, and also just the parties and we took over Galileo to watch the actual airing of the episodes, because that was about like a week before I graduated, I think, was when the episodes aired. And it was that was just a huge response, and so yeah, I was happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, same thing. It was just a big old social event when those episodes actually aired, and same thing. There were watch parties over in Galileo, or to just watch and Q&A stuff and afterwards. But yeah, it was interesting, just like kind of being the center of attention for a bit because you were on Jeopardy. Yeah, I mean, hopefully it wasn't the only thing that made me interesting to my friends, but it was a really novel experience.
Nice. I hope this doesn't feel like too much of a downer, but do you remember a question when you were on the show that you regret getting wrong? Like, not like I hope it's not the final one, obviously, but it could have been an early one that you just like, how could you miss it?
Oh man. Final Jeopardy, first day of the finals of the college tournament. The clue was like, this dude went to the poll, did not specify which poll, which is important, and then realized he was beaten by some Norwegians. I put down Robert Scott, and then I overthought it. It was like, Norwegians? Why wouldn't it be the North Pole instead? So I crossed out and wrote Robert Peary. No, the answer was Robert Scott, and that's why I got third place.
That's rough. Anyone else remember?
I was a big fan of Peanuts when I was little, like the cartoon by Charles Schulz, and one of the questions was about the color of the Red Baron's scarf. The guy next to me, right before we started taping, this was my second day, he looked at me and asked me, what do I do with my hands? And I could tell he was really nervous. So I kind of paused for an extra second, and like, at least for me, I was like, you really can't do that. You just gotta lock in,
I'll be brave and out myself on this one. I had a question that was the only letter that is not contained in the 50 US state names. And as we mentioned before, you read the question ahead of time. And so I already knew I was going to be ringing in, and I started running through the letters that are uncommon. So, X, no, Texas, Z, nope, Arizona, Q, and right around the time that I got to Q was the time to start ringing in. And so I start ringing in, and my brain is still going. And what my brain says is Albuquerque, so it can't be Q. And at that point, I'm like, oh crap, what's left? And he's called my name, and I was like, and I said, I don't even know what letter I said, but obviously it was wrong. And as soon as he said no, that was when the other half of my brain went, yo, idiot. Albuquerque is a city, not a state. And so my son, my dear, kind, supportive, wonderful son, to this day will still every once in a while pop up with, really, Mom, Albuquerque?
Yeah. You can always count on your kids, right?
So someone is asking about, like, how did you overcome your nerves while on the set, since you're being taped, there's lights everywhere? How did you do it, or not do?
Didn't. I thought Albuquerque was a state.
I think what Eric said earlier is pretty accurate. Like, you're nervous for like maybe the first 30 seconds, and then you're like, okay, hey, this is a game. And I think if anybody goes on, the key things I would recommend is like, remember, like, 2 out of every 3 people on Jeopardy lose, right? So like the odds are you're gonna lose. So just have fun and play aggressive, and you'll probably do okay. But the nerves go away, or went away pretty fast for me.
Hard disagree on that.
I would say definitely reach out to people who had been on before. So now you know a bunch of people who have. But at the time I went on, everyone that I knew who had been on had won. So that was a lot of pressure for me. But they gave me a lot of tips and helped me practice a lot, which was huge.
I think part of it for me was also just losing myself in the fun of it all. Just like, wow, you're on Jeopardy, enjoy it. Just like read the clues, try and think of the answers, buzz in, just lose yourself in the thrill of it, and the nerves will hopefully go away there.
Nice. I think there's already been some written responses to this, but it's a popular question from the audience. How do you feel about the temporary hosts right now? Any thoughts or feelings?
I've only watched 3 of the 4, and I thought those 3 did pretty good. I mean, obviously they're all going to be judged against how Alex did. But I thought the first 3 guest hosts, they did well. Ken, I feel like he probably had the most expectations on him, based on how well he did on Jeopardy, and kind of the buzz out there that he might be one of the inside track to be the new permanent host. But no, I really enjoyed the first 3. I haven't watched the 4th one, and I'll probably start watching again next Monday.
Yeah, apparently next Monday is when Aaron Rodgers starts, and I'm just going to assume he's going to be the best at it because, I don't know, just because. Rooting for him just because.
Great. So before we go into our fun trivia round, do any of you have any last thoughts, experiences you want to share before we move into that? Okay.
I had the coolest thing for me was actually going on to a movie TV studio lot, and like where I parked my car and walked over to the stage, they had like multiple cars from the Spider-Man movie and the Charlie's Angels movie. And I'd never been on a studio lot, and I thought it was just really cool kind of place to wander around.
What I would say is if anyone's even thinking about maybe taking the online test, just do it. I mean, it's so much fun. Even if you lose, been there, done that. The contestant coordinators are so good at their jobs, you will have a fun time no matter what happens. So if you feel like you might qualify, try it. What's the worst that happens? You don't ever get called? Who cares?
Very good advice. Thank you, everyone. So now we're going to play a friendly round of trivia. We're unfortunately unable to match the quick-fire nature of Jeopardy due to Zoom delay, and we do have 8 panelists instead of 3. So we will be doing more of a round-robin trivia game. These questions have been provided generously by DSA Muchachos, so shout out to them. Here are the rules. Each person gets asked a trivia question no matter what, even if you do end up stealing a question. You have 10 seconds to answer. If the person gives the wrong answer, the next person answers until someone gets it right. And of course, the person with the most points wins. And so the order that we're going to go in is by alphabetical order of last names. And we'll have Erin start off.
Yeah, this is just fun and lighthearted, so no pressure. These categories are fairly random in both topic and difficulty level. Again, thank you to the muchachos for writing all of them for us. So we'll start, we're gonna go across like normal. So Andrew, you're starting us off. Vanessa's our timer while I'm asking questions. So Andrew, what 2 planets in our solar systems do not have moons?
Mercury and Venus.
Correct, nice. Okay, Riff. What was the name of the first woman in space?
Valentina Tereshkova.
Nice, correct. All right, Julia. The straight line alignment of 3 or more celestial bodies is known as what?
Ooh. Knew this at one point, but now I don't. Is it like apogee or something like that?
That is incorrect. Well, now let's give it to Crystal. Crystal, do you know the answer? Do you want the question again?
Sure. No, you don't need to ask the question again. I should know it too, and I can't recall it.
No worries. Tuan, you get a chance. The question is, the straight line alignment of 3 or more celestial bodies is known as what? No. All right, Eric.
Okay, I'm hoping this is one of my favorite Scrabble words. Is it syzygy?
It is, it's syzygy. It's a tough one. Nice, so we go back to Crystal. So this is the way it's called. So Crystal will always be-
Will this one be easier?
Here's hoping, you know? How many constellations are officially recognized by the International Astronomical Union?
Plus or minus what?
You didn't, muchachos didn't give me that. I don't know.
500.
It's a little high. I will give you a hint that that is a little high. Tuan, do you want to guess? How many constellations officially recognized? I'll do plus or minus 10. That's what I'll do.
So the rules are changing?
Absolutely, Crystal. This is a serious game.
I'll go with 150.
Ooh, still really high, guys. Everybody's gonna get better.
I get plus or minus 10.
Yeah.
I feel like it's 88.
Eric got it right on the nose, guys. See, it's such a knowable number.
Number of keys on a piano.
Google.
Such a knowable fact, guys. See? All right. Tuan, this one's for you. In July of 2020, a comet became visible to the naked eye. What was this comet known as? Again, muchachos, I don't know how they found these, guys.
Shoot, I don't know.
All right, Eric.
Yeah, I got Hale Bop on the brain, so just pass it on down.
All right. Nat, you know your comments? Let's go.
I do not. I was going to say Hale Bob as well. Eric stole my answer.
Joe, are we comment guy?
No, I got nothing.
All right, back to Andrew.
I did not read the news back in July 2020, apparently.
I know.
So I don't remember.
When was July 2020? We don't know.
Was it? I don't
It
know.
was the 400th day of April.
Right.
Oh, yeah, something like that. So I don't know. Let's just throw Hallie's comment out there.
Sure, not right. Riff?
Yeah, I don't have a lot on this either. Yeah, Hale Bop was my best guess, so I don't know.
I didn't read this news item, that's for sure. Julia, do you know comments?
Is this our 1 in 1,000 Australia?
You know, it's a great guess. That's not what the muchachos wrote though. So Crystal.
Well, I could act like I know it, or I could admit to Googling it.
Sure.
Which would you like?
I'd like you to not Google it.
Too late.
Dang it, Crystal.
No, I don't know. I without Googling, and frankly, even having Googled it, I don't remember hearing it.
I don't remember hearing this news item at all. The muchachos wrote Neowise. Comet Neowise.
Google agrees with you.
All right. Right, that was Tuan's question, right? So Eric, this is your first one. What flavor of ice cream did Baskin Robbins release in 1969 to commemorate America's moon landing? It is space. It got to space eventually.
Oh my God.
The muchachos think current college students know the answers to these questions.
Well, based on my experience at Kennedy Space Center, I think it's freeze-dried ice cream.
A delicious snack. That is incorrect. Nat, do you know this ice cream name?
It's a pun.
Sure.
Something about cheese. No, I don't know.
Well, it is something about cheese. That's a hint for Joe.
Yeah, that hint is not helping me in any way. Yeah, I have no, yeah, what cheese moon connection is there?
Yeah. I mean, you're getting closer, guys. Andrew.
And like, what cheese would even be good with ice cream, right?
Oh, wait, that
especially
I
in
can answer.
1969.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got nothing. I'm just gonna pass it.
All right, Riff.
Is it just green cheese flavored ice cream?
Ooh, no, it is not.
That's my guess.
Julia?
I mean, if I had to make one up, it would be like moon cheesecake or something.
I'm gonna give it to Julia. It was
Nice.
called lunar cheesecake. So that is a moon cheesecake. Good job, Julia.
Sure.
All right, that was Eric's ice cream question. This is for you, Nat. The distance at which light can no longer escape from a black hole is called?
Australia.
Yes, correct. It's incorrect by muchachos, but Joe, do you know this one?
It's the terrible movie Event Horizon.
It is a terrible movie, Event Horizon. Joe gets that point. All right, Joe, this question is for you. In what year was Pluto demoted from a planet to a dwarf planet?
2005.
Very close. Andrew?
2008.
Nope. Riff?
2003.
Nope. Julia?
2012.
Nope. Chris?
2006.
You did it! You found it. You guys were totally educated guesses right there, guys.
And that had nothing to do with, knowing the previous wrong answers.
Absolutely nothing to do. This
Nope.
game is not
Nope.
rigged in any way. There's no cheating of any
I
sort.
did not Google that one, okay?
I
The
know.
process
we're-
of elimination does not exist.
It's not happening during this very fun trivia game. The next category will be moderated by Event.
All right, everyone. Our next is road trip. So starting with Andrew. In which state can you see the world's largest ball of twine?
Was it Minnesota?
Sorry. Riff?
I was thinking the same direction, but if it's not Minnesota, maybe Wisconsin.
Sorry. Julia?
Idaho.
Sorry. Crystal?
Iowa.
Sorry. Tuan?
Let's go with Utah.
Not there yet. Eric?
Kansas.
Correct. All right, Rip. How long in miles is Route 66 plus or minus 25 miles?
Probably about 1,300 miles.
Sorry, a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Julia?
2750.
Nope. Crystal?
2,542.
So close, but no. Juan?
2,400.
Ooh, so close. Eric?
2,369.
No, we need to go higher. Nat?
Wait, what did Eric say?
He said 2,369.
And Tuan said 2,400. I'm gonna go 2,380.
It needs to be higher. Joe?
2440.
So close. You are our winner.
Good job,
2458.
Joe.
All right, who's next? Julia. Which state has the largest children's museum in the world?
Florida.
Not Florida. Crystal.
California.
Nope. Tuan.
Illinois.
Nope. Eric.
Massachusetts?
Nope. Nat.
Albuquerque. Sorry, Crystal. Washington.
No. Joe.
Oregon?
Nope. Andrew.
Apparently my answer for all of these questions is going to be Wisconsin.
Not Wisconsin.
Nah.
Riff.
Texas?
No. And I think we're going back. No, that's everyone, right?
That's everyone.
So the answer was New Jersey. No, sorry, Indiana.
No, it's Indiana.
Indiana.
Octuple stumper there. Okay.
Yeah.
This is very sad. I'm an Indiana native,
Joe.
but obviously never went to the museum.
So disappointing.
It was a lot smaller then.
All right. Crystal, yes. Which state has the longest boardwalk in the world?
New Jersey.
Correct.
It seemed too obvious.
All right, Tuan. How many miles of road does the United States have? Plus or minus 25 million miles?
Oh. Wait, you said plus or minus 25 million?
Plus or minus 25 million.
So at least 25 million.
Yeah, unless there's negative miles. Let's go with 50 million.
We have more roads than that.
475 million.
We don't have that many roads.
No.
Nat.
Putting some bounds on it.
300 million.
A little bit too much. Joe.
240 million.
I can't do my math right now. That sounds about right, I think. I can't do that.
Sorry, Joe, what'd you say? I missed it. Sorry.
240 million.
That's close enough.
Yeah, 253 million. Awesome. Next question. Where am I going? I believe it's Nat's turn.
I think it's Eric's turn.
Eric's turn.
It's Eric's turn.
Now, Eric started that, I think, right?
No, I didn't start
Oh,
that.
no, that was mine. Yeah.
Oh, Tom started.
Okay.
Okay, so which state is nicknamed Finlandia?
Which state is nicknamed Finlandia? Oh, there's a lot of Finns in Wisconsin.
Not Wisconsin.
Oh, well.
Nat.
Oregon.
Not Oregon. Joe.
Minnesota?
It is Minnesota.
Joe is sweeping this round, guys.
There's no buzzer.
All right, Nat. In which US state can you drive down Santa Claus Lane?
I'm going to steal Andrew's answer. Wisconsin.
Not Wisconsin. Joe.
Everything happens in Wisconsin, guys.
This is terrible because there's a Santa Claus, Indiana, but I'm going to say Alaska.
It is Alaska. All right, Joe, last question for this category. In which state can you visit the Unclaimed Baggage Center?
Texas.
Not Texas. Andrew?
Georgia?
Not Georgia. Rip?
Colorado?
Not Colorado. Julia?
Illinois.
Not Illinois. Crystal?
Alabama.
It is Alabama.
Nice job, Crystal.
Thank you.
Waiting on that one.
Guys, we all understand random crap that's stuck in our head, right?
Well, our next random crap category is clouds. So Andrew, are you ready?
Sure.
Yeah, this type of cloud is found high in the atmosphere and is made of ice.
Which one's that? What, a stratus cloud?
No, not a stratus one. Griff?
Is that a cirrus cloud?
That is a cirrus cloud. Very nice. All right, Riff, this question is also for you. Wildfires and volcanoes can cause this type of cloud to rapidly form.
Cumulonimbus.
No, that's not what we're looking for. Julia?
Mushroom cloud.
That's not the famous volcano mushrooms. Crystal?
What was it again? Volcanoes and what else?
Wildfires.
Ash clouds?
Those are clouds. That's not the answer. Tuan.
Yeah, I got nothing. I was just gonna say like smoke clouds.
The name, it's not far. Like you guys are,
Yeah.
gotta think of cloud namies. Eric.
I saw a lot of these in Colorado, unfortunately. Pyrocumulus.
Yeah, you got that cool pyro in there for the fire stuff. All right, Julia, this is for you. What is the measurement used to describe the amount of cloud cover at any given location? It's a measurement name.
Just like a percentage. I'm sure there's like a unit maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, we're looking for the unit name. Crystal? No dice, Tuan?
UV index.
I mean, it's related for sure. Eric?
It's like an octant.
I'm gonna go with that. This says octa, but I'm gonna guess like an octant is like a singular and an octa might be a plural of that. So nice one, Eric. Crystal, this one is for you. The term nebulous is used to describe what type of cloud cover?
What's the language of origin?
DSA muchacho, a nebulous.
I'm sorry. Now that I'm actually listening to you, will you say it again?
The term a nebulous is used to describe what type of cloud cover?
Type of cloud cover?
I found this one weird.
I mean, like fog?
It is not fog. Tuan, you have a guess?
I was also gonna say fog.
Right. Eric?
Clear sky.
It is clear sky. We are finding Eric's niche in the world. All right, Tuan, this one's for you. This type of cloud forms below 6,000 feet and is often responsible for fog when they form close to the ground. So it's a cloud type.
Oh, cirrus clouds.
No, we just learned those are really high and made of ice.
All right, I missed that.
Eric.
Stratus.
Yep, you're right. You got that one. This is for you, Eric. You get first chance on this one. What is the name of the cloud that is sometimes referred to as the mother of pearl cloud?
Are they noctiluminescent clouds?
That's not what I have written.
All right.
All right, Nat, anything?
Cumulonimbus.
Still not that one. Joe?
I got nothing.
Andrew, you know your clouds?
Clearly not, apparently. The word is, lenticular?
No. Riff?
Nimbostratus. I don't know.
No. Julia?
An iris cloud.
Nope, nope. Crystal?
What was the word again?
We're looking for a cloud that is referred to as a mother of pearl cloud.
Got nothing.
Tuan?
Does it start with an M?
It starts with not an M.
All right. Then I got it.
It's a nacreous cloud. I don't know.
that-
I almost
never-
guessed that because knacker is
Like
Yeah,
Nate,
Nate-
yeah,
girl.
no.
Fudge.
Guys, yeah, you gotta get this. Nat. Sometimes these clouds can turn green before this major meteorological event.
I'm sticking with cumulonimbus. It has to be right
It's
eventually.
a meteorological event that we're looking for. No? Okay, Joe.
Still cumulonimbus.
The clouds turn green, but you want the name of the meteorological event?
Yeah, that causes them to turn green.
Aurora Borealis?
Nope. Andrew?
A thunderstorm.
Similar. Riff?
Snowstorm.
Nope. Julia?
Tornado.
It's a tornado, Julia. They turn green before tornadoes. All right, Joe, this one's for you. A tornado is formed when water vapor drops below the base of this type of cloud and forms a funnel. So it works with tornado clouds.
Cumulonimbus.
It's not cumulonimbus. Andrew?
No, I got nothing. Let's move
Okay,
on.
Riff? Yeah, Riff?
I'm gonna go with Nimbus Stratus again. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we all learned 4 types of clouds in elementary school. Julia?
I got nothing.
Yeah. All right. Crystal?
Thunderhead.
No, it's not that. Tuan?
Can I hear the clue again?
Sure. A tornado is formed when water vapor drops below the base of this type of cloud and forms a funnel.
No, nothing.
Then Eric? Cloud man?
Yeah, is it like a shield cloud?
It is. It sounds like a shield cloud, but
Yeah.
that's not what I have written here.
Ugh.
Nat, you get a chance.
Did someone already say cumulonimbus? That's right. Joe took cumulonimbus. Stratus.
No, it's a wall cloud. I would say Eric's the closest, but it's not a shield, it's a wall. Yes. Nice one. All right. Do we do
Well,
one last one?
Yeah, let's
One-
find the muchachos and punish them for that category.
And next time we
There's
write
an
the
art to
questions for
making
them.
answerable questions. It's difficult.
Yeah, so we don't have to, Vanessa and I need to tally our points.
Yes, give us a quick 5 seconds.
A quick 5 seconds, talk about do you each have a favorite trivia fact that you would like to share with the group?
Oh, I looked one up because I saw that as a. So here's my favorite trivia fact. There's a baseball slugger named Chris Davis, and for 4 straight years he hit 247.
I have one that takes a little bit of, yeah, that's nice.
I mean, that's oddly consistent. And the year before that streak started, he hit like 243 or 245. So he was like 1 hit off doing it for 5 straight years.
You knew what you were getting with that guy.
But he hit like 48 home runs too. That was the thing. It was either a strikeout or a home run.
So I have one. So, okay. Miguel Cervantes and William Shakespeare both died on April 23rd, 1616, but Miguel Cervantes died on a Saturday and Shakespeare died on a Tuesday. And if they had been born, if they had died a month earlier, they wouldn't have even died in the same year. So it's kind of a riddle, actually, when you think about it. But it's
What, freaking non-standardized calendars or something?
look up English old style dating before 1752. It was pretty messed up. Yeah.
Got a fun fact in the chat. Lake Tahoe is further west than Los Angeles. That's right.
My favorite fact, because I did my grad school in UC Santa Barbara, is Goleta, which is like next to Santa Barbara, was the first place during World War II that the U.S. was the mainland US was attacked, but there were no casualties. It was just, there's like a little placard there for to memorialize it.
I've got I think it's a good one. There are more dead people in Queens than live people.
And I heard they all voted. Oh, wait. Too soon, sorry.
For any marine biologist enthusiasts, the Peacock mantis shrimp, which is neither a mantis nor a shrimp, has the strongest and fastest punch in the animal kingdom. It's got like a spring-loaded club that hits with such force that it generates light, and I've dived with them, and they're pretty cool. They're not that big. They're like maybe this big, but I do know divers who have very foolishly poked at them and gotten their finger broken, because why would you do that? I have not.
I'm actually a marine scientist, so it's a cavitation bubble that they form with their claw because they snap it so fast. So
Yeah,
Right.
Joe's heading out diving soon, so that's fun.
Actually, there was one in the chat that John Tyler's grandson is still alive. And unfortunately, he died in September of 2020.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We finally got the Tyler grandsons.
Although, yeah, until May of 2020, we were still paying survivor benefits to dependents of Civil War veterans.
Yeah.
because it's opening day, the Mets pay Bobby Bonilla $1 million every year till I think for another 7 years.
Nice.
This is a fun fact. If you drive from Houston to San Diego, halfway, you'll still be in Texas. So that is how wide Texas is. These fun facts are super fun, guys, but we did calculate our winner for this evening is Eric. Those cloud facts came in clutch at the end. Joe's taken second, Crystal's in third. Good job, guys. We very much appreciate you doing this with us.
Yes, thank you for this fun round, and thank you to the muchachos for the questions. We appreciate it. We want to thank all our wonderful alumni for joining us today and for sharing your experiences of Jeopardy with us, and of course, taking time with us on a Friday evening. Thank you to our audience for your questions and for attending this event. We hope you had fun, and we will follow up within the next week with a recorded video.
An announcement for all alumni. Alumni April is here. This is our month-long, but actually a little longer than a month, virtual programming in the vein of Alumni Weekend. Please visit alumni.hmc.edu and click the Alumni April graphic for a full schedule of events and registration links for all of the activities.
And all upcoming events can be found on our online offerings page using the link included in your confirmation email or by visiting alumni.hmc.edu and clicking on online offerings. We welcome any suggestions you may have for upcoming events, or if you are interested in hosting one, please email us at alumni@hmc.edu. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us, and have a great night and have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys. This was super fun. Bye, everyone.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
See you, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.